Hello and welcome to this new character build. We are continuing our series in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and we are also continuing our series in the Lord of the Rings characters. Today we are doing the Men of the Fellowship, i.e. Boromir and Aragorn. So we're going to have to go over a few little rules for this particular build, so let's have a look at the rules of the build. First, we are going to be using the following variant rules from the Game Master's Guide. Okay, we're going to be using Ancestral Paragon to a lesser extent. What Ancestral Paragon does is let you take 2 ancestral feats at level 1, and then technically every second level you take another ancestral feat. We are not going to be taking one every second level, we're just going to take the 2 at first level. The second variant option we are going to be taking is magic item variants. This is primarily because Lord of the Rings is a low magic system, so you don't have all the high magical items available in it. You get a few kind of magicish items, but most of them are more done around the actual crafting ability of whoever crafted it, such as the elves crafting Sting, the elves crafting Glamdrin, Orcrest, all that sort of stuff. They were magical weapons, but only because it had the elven ability built into it. Okay, we are also going to be going through characters that will be lore friendly. What this means is we cannot build Boromir to have a dragon steed, because dragons in Lord of the Rings were evil. There are very few of them left, and therefore how could he ride one? Okay, we just can't do that. We're also going to be keeping things, so no clerics, no things like that. This is going to be as lore friendly to the Lord of the Rings universe as possible. We are building their characters to match primarily their on-screen counterparts, with a few little exceptions. We may be panning a little bit for the Gandalf one we done last week. We panned a little bit more into his book counterpart, and for Aragorn he is actually going to start off with the shards of Nazaleen. I cannot remember how you pronounce his particular blade, but he's going to be starting off with that, not with a full sword. However, everything else will be pretty much written as close as what everyone knows them as, i.e. what you see on the movies, not in the books. Okay, all backgrounds, feats and archetype dedications required in regions will be available. This effectively lets us use the books such as the Lost Omen collection. It just means, if there is a really good feat for a human in the Lost Omens book, but it's locked behind some area of Gilgori, which is the world Pathfinder is based in, I'm going to allow it if it suits the building of the character. Okay, we are not using any deities. We're not going into the different lore of the deities in the Isutra or the Vara or anything like that in Lord of the Rings. We're just going to keep it nice and simple. Okay, we'll be working from the following books: the core rulebook, the Lost Omens character guide, the Lost Omens Guide and Magic, the Advanced Player's Guide, Lost Omens World Guide, and Lost Omens Legends. In all honesty, most of what we're doing is the core rulebook. There will be a little bit from the character guide, I think a little bit from the world's guide, and a tiny bit from the advanced player's guide. We're not really delving much into the legends, and I don't think there's anything for gods and magic. But those are the books available. We're not using any of the extended content for Pathfinder Chronicles or for any of the adventure guides. Okay, so let's get stuck in and try with Aragorn. So, to begin with, we are going to make his ancestry human. Obviously, he's Dunedain, which is the men from the north. However, we are going to be making his heritage half-elf. Now, the reason for this is Aragorn's great ancestor, a whole heap of greats ago, was actually, I cannot remember his name, the elf from Rivendell. Elrond, that's it, Elrond. I had a total mind blank there. Was actually Elrond's twin brother. They fought for the elves during the War of the Silmarillion, and they were given an option to go the path of the human or the path of the elf. Elrond chose the elf. So, with that, he became Elrond the half-elf, and he basically is immortal. He is an elf now. The Dunedain Rangers come from Elrond's twin brother, who chose the path of the human. They were granted longevity from from the elves, so they sort of have elven longevity. They can live longer. They have sort of earthly type magic. That's the Dunedain Rangers, and that's why in the Two Towers, Aragorn actually says that he is 87 years old, yet he looks like he's only 40. In the books, he ages right up to something like 243 or something along those lines. Okay, and we will be getting the following ancestral feats. So, let's have a look. As a human, base hit points will be starting at 8. Our size is medium. Our speed is 25 feet. We'll be getting 2 free ability boosts, which will be put into strength and dexterity. We'll be choosing the languages of Common, Elvish for our half-elf heritage, and Dwarvish. And then we'll be getting the traits Human and Humanoid, just from the Human. We'll then be getting Low-Light Vision as a half-elf, and we'll be getting the Elven trait added on to Human and Humanoid. And our ancestry feats. So this is one of the Lost Omen character guide ancestry feats, is actually round ears. It basically means, for all intents and purposes, he's a human. No one can detect that he actually has elven blood. I think that's fairly lore friendly. As far as anyone else is concerned, he's just a long-lived human. Nobody can tell his ancestors were blessed by the elves. And he's going to get cooperative nature. It just allows him to help others. I mean, it's very Aragorn. So, our background. We are going to get a herbalist background. So this ties into the fact that he was a ranger. I kind of wanted there was actually a ranger and a scout background. I was looking at that, but if you go herbalist background, it ties into his healing abilities. So at the end of the Battle of Pelennor Fields, he actually ran the healing hospital, and he was the one who pretty much kept everyone alive. So he is going to be the party healer. Okay, as a formally trained apothecary or a ritual practitioner of folk medicine, you learn the healing properties of various herbs. You're adept at collecting the right natural cures in all sorts of environments and preparing them properly. You choose 2 ability choices. We're actually going to keep the 2 that it offers. One must be Constitution, one must be Wisdom. And the other one is free. We're actually going to choose Constitution and Wisdom. And then we are trained in the nature skill and the herbalism law skill. You gain natural medicine law feat. Very nice and easy there. We then get, he is a ranger. Obviously, he is a ranger from the north, Dunedain Rangers. The whole ranger archetype in modern tabletop was based around Aragorn. So these are this is what he gets at level 1. His key ability is going to be strength. You can choose dexterity if you go in an archer type ranger, but we're going to choose strength. He gets a perception of expert. His hit points will be 10 plus his constitution. His saving throws will be expert in fortitude and reflex, trained in will. We are going to be using his 4 free boosts of strength, constitution, wisdom, and charisma. The skills he gets is trained in nature, trained in survival, and then 4 plus your intelligence modifier. His attacks are trained in simple and martial weapons, as well as unarmored attacks. And he gets trained in light and medium armor, as well as unarmored defense, and the Ranger DC class. Okay, so his class features as a ranger is going to be Hunt Prey. For 1 action, when you focus your attention on a single foe, you become unstoppable in your pursuit. You gain the Hunt Prey action. This is a concentrate tab, so if he was going to go into Barbarian, which, no he's not, but if you were to build a Hunter Barbarian, you could not concentrate while raging. Okay, and it also has the Ranger tab because it's designed solely for rangers. However, I don't know if it's Assassin or Bounty Hunter. It might be Bounty Hunter also gets a version of Hunt Prey. Okay, you designate a single creature as your prey and focus your attacks against that creature. You must be able to see or hear the prey. You must be tracking the prey during exploration, and you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks when you seek your prey, and a +2 bonus to survival checks when you track your prey. So this works in 2 different variations. In real-time mode, i.e. combat and RP encounters, you must be able to see or hear the prey, and then you can lock onto them. Or you must be tracking the prey. So this leads into Aragorn was leading Legolas and Gimli to try and track down the Uruk-hai who had captured Pippin and Merry. That would be a tracking, an exploration event, and he can track with that. Okay, you also ignore the penalty for making ranged attacks with your second range increments against the prey you are hunting. So ranged attacks, the more you use them, the weaker they get. He can ignore that. Okay, you can only have one creature designated as your prey at a time. If you use hunt prey against a creature when you already have one, you lose the hunt prey of your prior creature. Very nice and simple. Next class feature he gets will be Hunter's Edge. So once you have a prey locked in, you can do the following. You have trained for countless hours to become more skilled at hunting and tracking. Gain an additional benefit when you hunt prey depending on the focus of your training. We are going to choose Flurry. There are 3 different focuses. One is for outsmarting the enemy. One is for using range combat and locking the enemy down with crossbows. And then Flurry is for melee combat, being able to hit multiple times. Okay, you have trained to unleash a devastating flurry of attacks on your prey. Your multiple attack penalty for attacks against your hunted prey is -3 or -2 with an agile weapon. That's on your second attack. Usually that will be -5, so you're getting a +2 bonus to hit them. Then you get on your third attack a -6 instead of a -10, or if you had an agile weapon, a -4. So you have your primary attack, then you have your secondary attack, and then your third attack. And it's easier to hit a prey you are locked onto. If you are attacking other people, you don't get that bonus, but you still do get the bonus for whoever you're hunting. Okay, level 1 feat we are going to choose because this is a martial class. Spellcasters do not get a level 1 feat, however martial classes do. So we are going to choose Monster Hunter, which is a ranger feat. Okay, you swiftly access your prey and apply what you know to it. You swiftly assess your prey and you apply what you know to it. As a part of the action used when you hunt prey, you can attempt to check to recall knowledge about your prey. When you critically succeed at identifying your hunted prey with recall knowledge, you note a weakness in the creature's defense. You and your allies then get a +1 bonus on your next attack against the prey. You can give the bonus from Monster Hunter only once per day against a particular creature. So that means if you hit the creature, you can study him, you know how to hit him, your next attack is going to be powerful, but it's only once per day, so fairly good. It is actually good, it does give you an extra bonus, and anything that gives you a bonus is good. Okay, the skills we are then going to choose for our level at level 1, and we're also going to have a look at all the equipment we're going to choose. So this will finalise our level 1 build. Okay, for Elven Lore, we get Arcane, Nature, and Elven Lore. For Herbalist, we get Herbalism Lore, Nature, which we are actually, as we already have Nature, we're going to change that to Stealth. Then for a Ranger, we get Nature. We already have Nature. This is the third selection. So we're going to change that to Athletics. We're then going to choose the second one, Survival, and then we get our 4 that we usually get. So Survival, Diplomacy, Medicine, Society, and Religion. Equipment, he is going to have studded leather, and he's going to have a cloak over it. And then weapons, shards of Nazil, that's how you pronounce it, which is going to act like a bastard sword. He can use it one-handed, he can use it two-handed, it doesn't matter. And then he is going to have a short bow and a dagger. Now, if you watch the movies closely, his dagger is actually attached to the sheath. It's at the front of the sheath. There's also another little pouch underneath it, which he contains a whetstone. However, this game doesn't have it, doesn't really need it. Alright, so leveling him up. Whoops. We are not going to do that. We are going to have a look at our level 1 Aragorn. So we can see human, half-elf, background herbalist, ranger, size medium. He's going to go lawful good. His traits are human, humanoid, and elf. He will start with 20 hit points, so that's 8 for his being a human. That will be 10 for being a fighter, and 2 for his constitution. His defense, we'll go with his ability scores. Strength will finish at 16, Dex at 12, Constitution 14, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 14, and Charisma 12. His Ranger class DC will be using Strength, so it will be 3 for his proficiency, 3 for his key, plus 10, giving him a DC class of 16. He will be travelling at 25 feet. His saving throws will be expert in perception and reflex, giving him a +7 and a +6 respectively, and then trained in willpower, giving him a +5. He will have a +7 on his perception because he is expert with a wisdom of 2, and he has low light vision from his elven heritage. His melee attacks, he's going to be using the shards of Nazil. So that is trained. His proficiency is 3 for trained. That's 2 if you have a look up here. Trained is 2 plus your level. At level 1, that gives us proficiency of 3. He then has 3 strength, giving us a +6 on his attack. His damage is a 1d8, or if he's using a two-handed, a 1d12, and it does 3 extra damage on top of that with the slashing ability. Okay, his dagger that he uses, the same proficiency, the same strength. It does 1d4. It is agile, so that's where the agile tab comes in. He can make 2 attacks with that, and then his third attack will technically only be at a -4. So he'll get first attack at +6, second attack will be sitting at +6 minus his 3 for his secondary attack, so that will be a +3, and then his dagger will be a -4, so that gives it a +2. And it can be thrown 10 feet. Right, it can technically, being finesse, use your dexterity, but his strength is higher, so it doesn't matter. And he also has a short bow. You see it in use during the Mines of Moria attack. Him and Legolas are standing back at the door with Boromir in front of him, and those two are shooting. He's quite a competent archer. So he has a proficiency of +3, his dex of 1, he does 1d6, and it's deadly d10. What the deadly trait adds is when you roll, if you get a critical, you would double the amount of dice, plus you add another d10. So on a critical damage, with his bow, he'll be doing 2d6 plus 1d10 damage. Okay, we can see his languages are Common, Dwarven, and Elven. We have a look at all of his skills. He is trained in Arcana for a +3, trained in Athletics for a +6, trained in Diplomacy for a +4, trained in Herbalism Law and Elven Law for a +3 each, trained in Medicine for a +5, trained in Nature for a +5, power off 5 minutes. Well, that is a bit weird. I've just got a screen button to say that my monitor was about to turn off. I have no idea why. I'm looking at it right now and I've got something running and it just said power off in 5 minutes due to no power going into it. Weird. Okay, he gets a religion score of +5. The key reason we chose religion is because certain creatures require the religion skill in order to use your knowledge check on them. That will mainly be demons and celestials and that sort of stuff. I think it also counts for Fae. So, Lord of the Rings terms, it's basically he can use his religion in order to do anything against wraiths, that sort of stuff, I believe it is. So, the ring wraiths, the Sauron, they would all come under the religion tab. Society, +3, stealth of +4, and survival of +5. Okay, that's everything on that one. Oh no, we are going to go over his armor. Studded leather has a dex, he only has a dex of 1, but his dex cap is 3 and his proficiency is 3, with the item giving you a +2 bonus, giving us a total of 16. Okay, we can see here his special ancestral feat is round ears. He has a half-elf heritage. He has elven lore for his first level feat. He has natural medicine for his background, no bonus feats, and he has hunter's edge using the flurry ability, hunter's prey, and monster hunter. And I have given him bastard sword, dagger, short bow, and studded leather. So I did fill in a little bit of this. Allies are Gandalf, enemy Sauron, organisation Dunedain Rangers, and I've also added down here the hunt prey. Everything is all nice and simple. So what we're going to do is have a look at his options for levelling up. Okay, at level 2, you get a ranger feat, which is going to be Monster Warden. You get a skill feat, which is going to be Experience Tracker. At level 3, you get a general feat, Iron Will, and a skill increase. So his general feat will be Incredible Initiative. That gives him a +2 on any initiative saves. And he's going to put his stealth up to expert. At level 4, he gets the ranger feat, which will be Scout's Warning, and a skill feat, which is Armoured Stealth. That is going to let him ignore the noisy penalty for chainmail, and as you can see in this image, he does actually wear chainmail at the end, so he's going to be upgrading his armour to chainmail with a leather jerkin in front of it. Okay, level 5, he gets a ability boost, which we're going to choose Strength, Dexterity, Wisdom, and Charisma. He gets an Ancestral feat, which we are going to choose Ancestral Suspicion. Now, Ancestral Suspicion, basically, it is for ancient elves. They've lived long enough to know when someone's trying to cast a spell on them or any sort of mind control. He gets a bonus to basically say, nope, you're not controlling me. And he also gets a bonus to understand if people are trying to control him. And his nature is then going to go up to expert. That is going to be for the next level, where his ranger feat, we're not going to have a ranger feat. We are in fact going to take the herbalist dedication feat. So the herbalist dedication comes from the advanced players guide, and that kind of makes you like an alchemist, but only for herbal remedies. So each day you get a bunch of reagents that you can then use on your daily preparation to craft into healing devices, such as, health drinks, health tonics, that sort of stuff. He's also going to get fresh ingredients, which gives him a huge bonus. This is a skill feat. So that's going to give him a nice tidy bonus when he is searching for different ingredients. So he can use his survival or his nature, I believe it is. I think it is actually his nature skill while he's in the Wilderland to be able to hunt around and find stuff. Okay, level 7. Whoa, sorry, does that... I pushed the wrong button. Okay, we're going to get evasion. We're going to get a general feat. The general feat is going to be battle medicine. We are going to get a skill increase, vigilance sensors, and weapon specialization. Now, we are going to use the skill increase to give ourselves expert in medicine, simply because battle medicine requires you to be an expert in medicine to do it. That will let him use his healing abilities during combat instead of just in RP or exploration mode. Okay, he's going to get at level 8 another ranger feat, which is going to be Polus Preparation. That is actually a herbalist feat, and that is going to let him convert his herbalist remedies and stuff from a flask to a polis that he puts on the body. So it changes it from an ingest skill or an ingest item to an item that he has to put on it, but it can also be used while you're doing it. You get a free action to do stuff like stop bleeding, put out fire, that sort of stuff. So basically he can rub you down with herbs and heal you very well. And his skill feat is Continual Recovery. This basically means instead of only being able to use Battle Medicine or the heal option once per, I think it was once per day, but with his skill it dropped it to once per hour. This lets him do it once every 10 minutes, so he can constantly be healing, and it puts him kind of as close to a cleric as possible for healing. There are some other feats we could get, but we're not going to go down that path. This is possibly the last lot of healing we're going to give him. It still gives him a decent amount of healing, and it fits in very nicely with his lore, but this is going to be the last bunch of healing feats he gets. Okay, his last ancestral feat is a human feat called Hardy Traveller. It just lets him travel longer, travel while carrying staff, do that sort of thing. It's quite a nice little feat for exploration mode. He's going to be upgrading his Stealth to Master, that's his skill increase, and he's going to get Nature's Edge and Ranger expertise. And then at level 10, he will get a second ability boost, which we are going to not put it in Charisma, we're going to put it in Constitution, but Strength, Dexterity, and Wisdom are the same. We'll get another Ranger feat, which will be Warden Step, and a skill feat called Shadow Mark. Shadow Mark will let you hunt a target, and while you are doing so, if you are stealth, that target has disadvantage on seeing you. And then, as you saw before, level 10 equipment, the Shards of Nazul will be replaced with Unduril, which is the giant weapon he gets given. It is basically the shards have been reforged and the King's Sword remade. It is going to be a Master Cold Iron Bastard Sword. So Cold Iron is effectively the material it's made out of. It wasn't a mithril weapon, so I'm calling it a Cold Iron weapon, which certain creatures such as Fae and demons and stuff like that, i.e. wraiths, have disadvantage on their attacks, or they take double damage for Cold Iron. This is going to give him a +2 bonus, as well as 2 damage dice. So instead of rolling 1d8 or 1d12, he'll be rolling 2d8 or 2d12. We are also going to put on it the Ghost Touch rune. This lets him hit incorporeals. That gives him the ability to attack the Skeleton King that you find in the Paths of the Dead. That's how he can do it. It was a Ghost Touch rune that let him do it, because as you saw in the movies, the skeleton said, no man may command us, and he goes to attack, and Aragorn is able to block the blow and then stick the sword right up to his neck. That is a Ghost Touch rune. Without it, he couldn't do anything. And it's going to be a fearsome rune. When he brings it out, people are going to be afraid. We're also going to be replacing his studded leather with Master Chainmail, which gives him a +2 to his chainmail bonus and a +1 to his saves, and it's going to be Greater Shadowed. That's going to be the jerkin he wears over top. As you can see, it is dark, and that gives him a +2 stealth. So we can go along and have a look at a level 10 Aragorn. His hit points has moved up to 125. His strength is now sitting at 19, dex of 16, constitution 16, wisdom 18, charisma 14. Okay, that's going to give him his masterworked armor, is going to give him an armor bonus of 6, proficiency bonus of 12, because he's still only trained, so that is, the training will give him 10 for his level and 2 for his proficiency. His cap now has dropped to 1, even though his dexterity's gone up, so they've kind of swapped. But you have 10 plus 12, which, oh, hey, I put that wrong. Okay, 10 plus 12, giving him 22, plus 6. Oh, no, 22 plus 6 is 28, plus 1 is 29. I did not do my math wrong. Okay, his fortitude has stayed at expert. His reflex, however, has gone up to master. That was one of the abilities he got. And his willpower has gone up to expert. His perception has also gone up to master. So his perception has gone from plus 7 to plus 20. Willpower 19, reflex 20, fortitude 18. He's become trained in his class DC, so that's still strength, so it's 14 for his proficiency, because 14 expert is 4 plus level, 4 plus 10 is 14, plus they had given him 18. He does get a -5 movement speed in chainmail, so I've had to write that down, but his speed is still the same. Undrill now goes on a plus 18, so does his dagger, but actually plus 18, it's not plus 18 because that gives him a plus 2, so he now hits on a plus 20. Okay, it does 2d8 damage, his strength of 4, he now has weapon specialization of plus 2, so he is doing a minimum of that 8 damage per attack, and he can do a maximum of 22 damage per attack. That's single-handed. If he is doing a two-handed, that also goes up, so that will be, once again, a minimum of 8, because you can roll 1s on a 1d12, and sadly, but that is going to give him 24 plus 4 for 28, plus 2 for that, making him 30 on his attack for two-handed. Remembering he is hitting on a plus 20, and he was going to be able to attack 3 times with his targeted prey and get better chances to hit each time. So he still has his dagger. It doesn't have any runes, it's just a plain boring dagger, which is still a 1d4 plus 4. He does get plus 2 to his weapon specialty, and it's pretty much the same. He only gets a plus 18 to attack. And his short bow is plus 17 because it's using his dex modifier, which is 1 lower than his strength. He still gets his weapon specialization on that, but he's still only rolling 1d6. It's not his primary weapon, so we don't really worry about it. Alright, stats that have changed here. Everything that he was proficient in has gone up. So Arcana has gone up to plus 12. Athletics has gone up to plus 16. Diplomacy plus 14. Herbalism and Elven Law plus 12. Medicine, because he's now expert, is at plus 18. He's also expert in nature for plus 18. Oh, I forgot to mention, the herbalism feat will let you roll nature instead of medicine for healing. That is the other reason for getting it. We had to get an expert in medicine in order to get the perk we wanted, but from now on we can just level up nature as we want, and that means he can roll nature checks for healing. We also have a religion of plus 16, a society of plus 12, stealth of plus 21. That is because he get a plus 2 for his shadowed armor, and a survival of 16. Still only knows them, but we can see all of these feats have gone up quite a lot. So you can see here the features, feature. So I think Iron Will is what put his will save up. Weapon expertise gave him... No, it's ranger expertise that gave him the... weapon specialization damage. Weapon expertise put his damage up a bit. Vigilant step, evasion I believe it is, put his fortitude up. It's not fortitude, is it? Reflex up. And I think, which one was it? One of these also put his perception up. I can't remember. But yeah, we see all of his abilities here. He now has Ghost Touch and Fearsome, Chainmail of that. His armor and stuff hasn't really changed, and we kind of are ignoring gold at this point. And I haven't done anything there, but that is a level 10 Aragorn. He specializes in tracking people down. He specializes in locking on to people and scouting, that sort of stuff. So he is a true ranger wilderness warrior type person. And he also specialises in using herbalism and ancient elven methods to heal. Okay, we have finished Aragorn in record-breaking time. So let's go to Boromir. Okay, Boromir, his ancestry will be human. His heritage will be versatile human, simply because he has nothing else. I mean, he was a man. He's about 30 in the movies. And we're going to choose some ancestral feats. So, as a human, I put these in the wrong way, so let's just bring them all up. Okay, once again, base hit points is 8, size medium, speed 25 feet. That hasn't changed at all. His 2 free ability boosts, we're going to choose Strength and Constitution for Boromir. He is going to get the language of Common. I couldn't really see him speaking any other languages, so I ignored it. And his traits are human and humanoid. He gets the general feat of Toughness. That is part of his versatile heritage. So Toughness gives you... Whoop. Hey, look, I can see other stuff in there. That's not what I wanted. Okay, the general feat Toughness gives you your level added to your health modifier. So it just makes you a little bit tougher. His ancestral feats will be Natural Ambition, which gives him a second level 1 fighter feat, and Haughty Obstinance, which basically means... once again, he has a resistance to people trying to intimidate them. He can just, stick his nose in the air and walk away. As a human, he will be a noble background. He was the steward of Gondor, son of Denethor, and that will give him... To the common folk, the life of a noble seems one of idyllic luxury, but growing up as a noble or a member of the aspiring gentry, you know the reality. A noble's lot is obligation and intrigue. Whether you seek to escape your duties by adventuring or better your station, you have traded skills and pageantry for an adventurer's life. So with him, this basically, he wasn't trying to, adventure. He was trying to better Gondor by going on the adventure and going to the Council of Elrond. Okay, he gets 2 ability boosts. One must be Intelligence. We're not taking that. We are instead taking Dexterity. And the other one is Charisma. We are going to take that. Okay, we are trained in Society skill of your choice of the Genealogy or Heraldry. We're going to be taking Heraldry. And we gain Courtly Graces. Cool. What does he get as a fighter? Because Boromir is a fighter. He was a noble knight. Okay, his key ability is going to be Strength. His Perception is going to be Expert. His hit points is the same, 10 plus Con. His save and throws will actually be the same, Expert in Fortitude and Reflex, Trained in Will. We are going to give his 4 free boosts to Strength, Constitution, Dexterity and Charisma. His skills, he is trained in Athletics, +3 plus his Intelligence modifier. He is going to be Expert in Simple and Martial Weapons, trained in Unarmored Attacks, and trained in Advanced Weapons. He is going to be trained in all armour, trained in all unarmoured defence, and trained in the Fighter class DC. His class features is Attack of Opportunity. This is a reaction. It basically means that if somebody is doing the Manipulate, Move, Ranged Attack, or Leave in the Square during a move action that it's using, you can lash out and take 1 melee strike against it. This strike doesn't actually count towards your multiple attack penalty. This could be handy for him if he is fighting with just his sword. However, level 1, he gets 3 feats. 1 is Shield Block, all fighters get that. 1 will be Reactive Shield, that will be his fighter class, and then Sudden Charge, which will be from his heritage. Okay, Shield Block. Basically, if he has raised his shield and the enemy attacks him, he can actually use Shield Block to make the shield absorb most of the damage. It does, however, start wearing down on the shield, and shields can break pretty badly with that. We then have reactive shield, so if he is hit in melee combat, he can actually use his reaction to raise the shield. This could mean that his shield can actually add the +2 to the armor class, and it may just be able to ward off the blow entirely. However, remember, he only gets one reaction per turn, so he cannot use reactive shield with shield block. Whoops, I keep pushing a button, and this is a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, sudden charge. This is 2 actions. With a quick sprint, you can dash up to your foe and swing. So he can stride twice, and if he ends his movement within melee range, he can attack. Very nice, very simple. His skills and his equipment. So his skills as a noble is going to give him society and heraldry lore. As a fighter, he's going to get athletics as a base and acrobatics. We're then going to choose deception, intimidation, and society. His equipment, he is going to have breastplate, which is going to give him an armor class of 18, and a shield, which will give him an armor class of 2 when he takes the raise shield action. He's also going to have a long sword and a dagger. Okay, we are going to ignore that for now. We're going to jump to Boromir level 1. So you can see, human, noble, fighter. He was chaotic good. His armor class is 18. Compare that to Aragorn 16 at level 1. He's going to be able to hold in the fight a lot longer. He also has 21 hit points. Compare that to the 20 of Aragorn. That is based on the same stats that Aragorn has, plus he's got toughness. Level 1 giving him 1 extra hit point. His shield has a hardness of 3, so when he raises his shield to absorb the damage, it will absorb the first 3 points of damage. It then has a max hit point of 12, so both the you can absorb 3 points automatically. The rest of the damage goes on to the shield. And once that gets down to 6 hit points, the shield itself becomes broken, and you can no longer use it to raise. However, there is an ability that will let you raise it. If you use said ability, the shield can break. Bad news. His strength is going to be 16. His dex 14, constitution 14, and charisma 14, with intelligence and wisdom of 10. That gives us a class DC of 16, fortitude and reflex of both 7, will of 3, perception of 5. He is trained in acrobatics, so he gets +5 for that. Trained in athletics, so +6 for that. He gets deception of +5. I think I may have boo-booed. I don't think he gets one or the other. He may only get one. Yeah, I believe you can choose to have athletics or acrobatics, but that doesn't matter. Trained in intimidation and heraldry lore. He gets performance. Nope, trained in society. So he doesn't have anywhere near the same amount of skills as Aragorn, but he's not Aragorn. He is Boromir. Okay, his longsword hits on a +8. Compare that to a level 1 Aragorn that only hits on a +6. However, he doesn't get the extra attack, so his second attack will be hitting on a +3, which is the same as Aragorn, and then his third attack is actually hitting on a -2, whereas Aragorn's third attack will be hitting on a 0. So Aragorn does get better, but Boromir, can stay in there. His first attack is better. Alright, he gets a D8 for having a longsword, and it's both piercing and slashing. So enemies resistant to piercing, he can slash them. Enemies resistant to slashing, he can pierce them. Doesn't have any other weapons. He has his training there. He has natural ambition, versatile heritage, haughty obstinance, courtly graces, shield block, attack of opportunity, reactive shield, sudden charge, and toughness. And his bulk is sitting at 4. The breastplate actually takes 2 bulk, and then the steel shield of 1 and a long sword of 1. And as you can see, a level 1 fighter actually gets a lot of reactions. So 3 different reactions he can get and 1 action he can get. That is a lot, and it's going to get worse. You're going to need multiple pages of this particular page to handle everything. Alright, back to his level up. So, at fighter feat, he gets aggressive block. That gives him I can't remember what aggressive block gives him. Let's see, can I bring up aggressive block? I should be able to bring it up. Fighter, 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 fighter feet, blah, blah, blah. Okay, aggressive block is a free action. So you push back as you block the attacker, knocking your foe away or off balance. You can use your shield to push the trigger and creature, either automatically shoving it 5 feet or causing it to become flat-footed. So if you are blocking and somebody attacks you, you basically can hit them and knock them down. He also gets armor assist. It means he can get in and out of his armor very quickly. He will get the Bravery ability at level 3. Bravery gives him one more proficiency level on will saving throws. So he will become expert in will. His general feat, he is actually going to choose additional law warfare. And then he is going to get a skill increase and make warfare lore expert. His fighter feat is Shielded Strike. Shielded Strike gives him, I'm going to be bringing it up in a sec. Shielded Strike. When your shield is up, your enemy's blows can't touch you. So if he raises his shield, he can actually stride half his speed, but he can walk through the enemies, and enemies do not get attack of opportunities or any reactions against him. He then gets Battle Planner. This is the reason I chose Warfare Lore and additional, put it up by Expert. Battle Planner lets him use Warfare Lore as his, what is that thing called? Initiative. That's it. He uses Warfare Lore for initiative. So if a battle's starting, he can look around, gauge how the battle is going, and use that to initiate better. Okay, level 5. He will get an ability boost. We're going to choose Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. He's going to get an Ancestral feat, Keeping Up Appearances. So that's basically, that is actually a very good question. What is Keeping Up Appearances? I believe that was the Lost Omens. This is, yeah, one of the Lost Omens ones. So it means roll a deception check and compare the result. If you're affected by an emotional effect, you roll a deception check and compare the result. If you succeed, most creatures cannot actually tell that you're affected by an emotional effect. So you're basically, stiff upper lip sort of thing. And his society is then going to move to Expert. He's going to get another fighter feat, Shield Warden. Shield Warden is quite a nice one. I will read this out to you. Okay, Shield Warden is all the way down here. You use your shield to protect your allies. When you have a shield raised, you can use your shield block reaction when an attack is made against an adjacent ally. So effectively, you can stick your shield in front of someone and stop them taking all the damage. He's then going to get Assurances of Warfare. What that means is when he hits when he is trained in Assurance, he can automatically take a +10 on it. If, however, he is expert at it, I'm just going to go and have a look at Assurance. Assurance, okay. So you roll a +10 and add your proficiency bonus to the check. You can take this feat multiple times. Oh no, so it is literally just he can take +10. So he's always going to be guaranteed a minimum of 10 on his initiative as well as his any warfare checks he makes. He's then going to have Battle Surveyor. Battle Surveyor gives him a couple of nice abilities, I believe it is. Okay, Battle Surveyor gives him his proficiency check, so he can look out at the battlefield and see it. He's going to get a general feat of Ride. That gives him the ability to ride as a knight, because he did charge into Osgiliath on a horseback. Medicine, sorry, that is a typo. So he is going to put Athletics to Expert, not Medicine. Sorry about that. That is a complete typo, so ignore that. Go. I'm sticking my thumb above it. I can't see it, therefore it doesn't exist. And he's also going to get Weapon Specialization, which means weapons that he is a expert in, he gets +2 to attack. Weapons that he is a master in, he gets +3. Well, he got fighter weapon mastery, and he chose the sword with that, which means any sword he is going to be hit in with a +3 damage automatically. Alright, fighter feat, he's going to have quick shield block. Now this one is the good one. It will let him, I'll read it out to you. I should have probably read out all of the ones for Aragorn as well. I can't see where quick shield block is. Ah, there it is. Okay, you can bring your shield into place with hardly a thought. At the start of each of your turns, you gain an additional reaction that you can use to shield block. So that means he can actually start using, if we go back to his feats, he is going to be able to use shield block and reactive shield at the same time. So somebody hits him, he can quickly use his reaction to do reactive shield. If that is still going to do damage to him, he can then use the shield to block it and eliminate the damage. Alright, group coercion. This is going to, that's why we took Society of Expert. This is going to let him basically talk to an entire group. Actually, I believe that is an intimidation one, but he is going to effectively intimidate an entire group and get them to do what he wants them to do. He's going to get his second ancestral feat, which is Hardy Traveller, the same as Aragorn. He's going to get combat flexibility. So combat flexibility allows him to choose a level 8 fighter feat and have it active, even if he doesn't have the feat, which we're going to choose Reflective Shield. That effectively means he can... What is Reflective Shield? You can use your shield to fend off the worst of area effects. So he gets to use his shield as a bonus to his reflect save. I didn't actually write that into his sheet, so we will be doing that as well. And Warfare Lore is going to go to Master. Then his second ability boost, once again strength, dexterity, constitution, and we're going to give him his intelligence. He's then going to get combat reflexes. Combat reflexes is a simple one. I was reading the wrong one. Combat reflexes. Is that a... Oh, that's his fighter feat. That is silly of me. I went right down to the wrong one. Combat reflexes. You are particularly swift at punishing foes who leave you openings. At the start of each of your turns, when you regain your actions, you gain yet another reaction that can only be made for attack of opportunity. So he now gets 3 reactions per turn, 1 for an attack of opportunity, 1 to raise his shield, and then a free one to do whatever he wants. And he is going to get Unmistakable Lore, which is going to go into Warfare. I don't remember what Unmistakable Lore does. I think it was in the core rulebook. Acrobatic feat, variant feats, let me go, lore feats, Unmistakable Lore. Okay, you recall knowledge about your lore more efficiently. So effectively, he can recall past battles, battle tactics, all that sort of stuff a lot easier. And then the last thing we are going to get for Boromir, his level 20 equipment. He is going to have a Master Longsword, which will give him a +2 bonus and +2 damage dice. Just 2 damage dice, sorry. And Masterwork Breastplate Armor. Once again, no runes, no nothing like that. He didn't rely on magic, and this is a low magic world. So, let's see what Boromir level 10 gets. I'm just going to have a drink. Water is good. Armor class is 29. Actually, which particular ability was it that I was going to be putting on? Oh yes, combat flexibility. So armor class of 29, +2 for his shield, and his shield can be strengthened a lot higher. I haven't actually added any type of material to his shield, but you can make a lot more powerful shields. So his reflex save, he is actually going to be able to add 3 on that, giving him 21. So his fortitude and reflex are both sitting at 21. He gets +1 save because of his masterworked armor, +2 for having his shield as part of his feats. His perception is sitting at +17, will 16. He has a final strength of 19, dex of 18, constitution 18, intelligence and wisdom 12, charisma 4. His class DC is sitting at 26. He takes the same -5 when armoured. His masterwork longsword, hitting at +22. You have a look. Aragorn is sitting at +20. So he is still a better fighter with the longsword than Aragorn is. He is doing 2d8 damage, plus he's adding his strength of 4. And he is actually adding 3 weapons. So his minimum attack will be 4 + 3, giving you 7, 8, 9. And his maximum will be quite high, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now, I was thinking of making him have a bastard sword, because in a few fights he did use the sword two-handed. You can do that. You lose the versatile piercing tag, but you do up that to D12. I prefer keeping him with the longsword because he's most likely going to be using the shield. He is the party tank, effectively. Okay, acrobatics has gone up to 16. Athletics also 16. Deception and intimidation 14. His lore skills are 13. So that effectively means when he is rolling for initiative, most other classes will just get to add their perception. I think it's perception. He will get to add his warfare. Wait a second, he is expert in that, so that goes up to 16, which gives him a 15. Now, yes, you're going to say perception, but that's too higher, and you're right, that is too higher. But if they get attacked, he doesn't take the deficit of perception. He can still use warfare lore. So in most forms of initiative, he will just be using his standard perception. However, there are certain types of initiative that he will have to take, and he can actually use his warfare lore instead of something a lot slower, such as a stealth or a survival lore. Because there will be times where he has to use a stealth or a survival or some other test. He then gets a society plus 13 for being a noble. He has expert in swords, master in swords, trained in other, unless it's his sword, and then expert in simple and martial. He knows common, and look at all these feats he's got. It is a huge amount of feats. I've gone through most of them anyway, so I'm not going to be going through them all again. But yep, this is a finished character sheet, which is lore friendly, and you know, I'd play this character. It is a decent human tank. Not as strong as you could do with a dwarf tank or something like an orcish tank, but this is Lord of the Rings, so this is a good character. So, I am going to call it there. That has been quite a fun and quite an entertaining little build series that we're doing. We're going to continue this next week when we are going to be doing Legolas and Gimli. They are also going to be fighters as Boromir, but they are going to be... Whoops, for some reason that popped up. What they are going to be are different builds of fighters. So the thing I love about Pathfinder is you may have 3 fighters in your party, such as this particular party does. Every fighter is going to have completely different skills, completely different weapon styles and everything like that. So Legolas, as you can imagine, he'll have a dagger and he's going to have a huge bow, and he's going to be able to do massive amounts of range damage, primarily with dexterity and just straight leather armor. Gimli is also going to be heavily armored. He is actually going to be able to charge with everybody because dwarfs actually get a bonus. They don't take the movement penalty if you take a certain class of dwarf. He is going to be using a two-handed dwarven axe, and he's instantly going to be hitting at much higher with power attacks, that sort of stuff. So it's going to be fun building them. Thank you very much for watching. I've enjoyed making this. Let me know what particular style you like. There is this style that I've been doing where I prep everything before in a slideshow and show you that as a nice slideshow, or I just have all the books open on screen and we jump around. These particular builds, it's been 1 hour and I've got 2 characters made. Previously, it will be an hour and a half per character. So this does make it a lot more concise and a lot easier to read. But let me know what you think in the comments below. So yeah, thank you for watching. Join us on Monday when I believe we will be doing Chewbacca and Han Solo in D&D. And then on Wednesday, we'll be continuing our series in Pathfinder versus D&D, where we'll be looking at the Bard. And that's going to be quite a nice in-depth look at different bards, the history of bards, and all that sort of stuff. So yes, thank you for watching. Join us next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that happy clappy stuff. And I'll put these character sheets in the description below so you guys can download and play as you like. Thank you and farewell.